This is a story about a man who was fired from the very company he created. People thought his career was over. Even he felt that way. But he didn't give up. Instead, he came back and changed the entire world. You might be wondering who this man is. Well, it's none other than Steve Jobs. This story starts way back in 1985. Back then, the personal computer industry was a hotbed of innovation, and competition was fierce. There were these two computer companies, Apple and IBM, constantly trying to outdo each other. They wanted their computers to be seen everywhere. In the mid-'80s, Apple had a hit with the Macintosh computer. It was revolutionary because of its user-friendly interface. People loved it, but soon other computer makers began copying it, selling similar computers at lower prices. Apple needed something new to stay ahead, and that's where the Lisa computer came in. It was supposed to be their next big thing, but things didn't go as planned. The Lisa computer was expensive and not as commercially successful as they had hoped. Apple found itself in a tough spot. They had spent a lot on developing the Lisa computer, and now they needed to cut costs. And guess who they decided to blame? The management. They believed that the high cost of the Lisa computer was due to poor management. So what did they do? They fired Steve Jobs. Can you imagine being kicked out of your own company? It must have been devastating for him. Everyone thought his career was over. Major tech companies were not hiring him. All those rejections would have made anyone quit, but not Steve. He was determined to make a comeback. Steve took some time to recharge. He went on a spiritual retreat to India. When he returned, he was ready to start again. But this time, he wanted to do things differently. He co-founded a computer company called NeXT. Unlike Apple, NeXT didn't just want to sell computers, they wanted to push the boundaries of technology. They wanted to create something that had never been done before. Meanwhile, Apple missed the mark with several new products. They were searching for a new direction. Then, in 1997, something unexpected happened. Apple realized that their new products weren't working out. They needed a change, and they knew just who could help them. They offered Steve Jobs the chance to return to Apple and become CEO. At first, he hesitated. He wasn't sure if he wanted to rejoin Apple. After careful thought, he accepted the offer. When he rejoined Apple, the company was on the brink of collapse. They desperately needed a hit product to survive. Steve was up to the challenge. He worked tirelessly, often spending late nights at the office. His goal was clear: turn Apple around and make it a success once again. Soon, he introduced a colorful all-in-one computer called iMac. It came in funky colors like blueberry, lime, tangerine, and strawberry. The iMac was a massive hit. People loved its unique design and ease of use. This gave Apple a much-needed boost. But Steve wasn't done yet. He had even bigger plans. He wanted to make Apple a powerhouse in the digital music industry. Back in the early 2000s, buying and playing music was very different. People bought physical CDs and they had to carry these around. But Steve had a better idea. He wanted to make it easier for people to buy and listen to music. He imagined a world where you could carry an entire music library in your pocket. That's when the iPod was born. It was a small device that held thousands of songs. It was like having the whole music industry in your hand. To make the iPod even better, Steve partnered up with a company called iTunes. With iTunes, people could buy and download songs easily. The iPod and iTunes were a game changer. They made it super easy to buy, download, and listen to music. It was a win-win for everyone. Music lovers got a convenient way to enjoy their tunes, and Apple became one of the biggest players in the music industry. But Steve didn't stop there. He wanted to change the way people communicated as well. Back in the early 2000s, people used devices like BlackBerry and Nokia to send messages and make calls. But Steve had a vision for something more. He wanted to create a device that combined communication, entertainment, and the internet. He wanted to make a device that would change how we live, work, and play. That's how the iPhone came to life. The iPhone was a unique device. It had a touchscreen and could do things no phone had done before. It could browse the internet, play games, and run apps. It was like having a mini computer in your pocket. The iPhone was not just a success, it was a revolution. It showed the world that phones could do so much more than just making calls. People loved it. But Steve still wasn't satisfied. He wanted to take Apple to the next level. In 2010, he unveiled another groundbreaking product, the iPad. It was a tablet that combined the power of a computer with the convenience of a touchscreen. It was like having a laptop in your hands, but lighter and easier to hold. The iPad was great for reading, watching videos, and browsing the web. It was also helpful for artists and designers. They used it to draw, edit photos, and even read comic books. The iPad was not just a product, it was a whole new way to experience technology. It blurred the line between a computer and a book, making everything more visual and interactive. So let's think about this. Steve was kicked out of his own company, right? But instead of giving up, he started a new company, NeXT. NeXT developed some cool technologies that would later be used by Apple. Later, he returned to Apple and turned the company around. He made Apple popular again with products like the iMac. Then he totally changed how people listen to music with the iPod and iTunes. He didn't stop there. He also introduced the iPhone, which changed how we use phones, and he followed that up with the iPad, which changed how we use computers. So what's the lesson here? If someone says you can't do something, or if you face lots of problems, don't ever give up. Keep going, and always remember, after facing many failures, success will definitely come. I hope you enjoyed this motivational story. Remember, no matter what happens, don't ever give up. Keep moving forward and believe in yourself. And if you want to hear more such inspiring stories, please stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Now try answering these questions. And don't forget to tell us in the comments which part of the story you liked the most. And that's all for today. See you in the next video. Until then, keep learning.